I thought, okay, let me see how many people are actually serious among my audience.
Yeah.
Let's do an experiment. Let's do a masterclass. Let's see how many people from my audience would come for a 2-hour masterclass. And I went ahead with it.
Right.
Then I was super surprised because the first masterclass itself, 5,000 people turned out.
Hey guys, I'm Mihir Joshi and welcome to another episode of the MJ Show. आपने cover photo देख लिया है, so you know who my guest today is. But I always say this, especially about content creators who have an incredible online persona, that there is another aspect to them which you don't get to see through their content. And I love discovering that about some of the people who've come on the show recently. You know, whether it's Neil or it's Saurabh Gadge, all of them have a story to tell. And I can't wait to find out more about the story of the man who has written this book. You guys know him as Finance with Sharan. Help me welcome on the MJ Show, the very awesome Sharan Hegde. Sharan, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Hey,
Glad
so
to be here.
firstly, I gotta say this, man. I mean, generally when I start off with somebody who's come on the show for the first time, I always want to get to know what the origin story is. But before we even get into the origin story, I gotta tell you, I have enjoyed your content so much. And I am not a finance guy at all. Like I used to always rely on my father. He'd tell me, this is what you need to do. He found a great person who's handling. So ever since I started earning a little bit of money, he found a guy who could handle my investments for me. It's come to a point where he just sends me a message. He knows what kind of investment should be done for me. I reply yes, automatically money gets deducted from my account and goes into my mutual funds and things like that. Right. This is my level of involvement with finance. I tell him, don't tell me where my money is going. You know where it's supposed to go. You're answering to my father. If something goes wrong, you are responsible for that. So he knows my risk, I don't even know what it's called, risk capacity or whatever. Yeah. And he knows where to invest. So every now and then when I tell him, abhi itna paisa hai invest karne ko, he'll send a message where I have to reply yes, and that investment happens. But after seeing your content, I realized, man, this is interesting stuff. I would want to know more. I'd like to understand a little bit more. And you know, despite me not being this interested, I can see how many people genuinely are interested. Right. You've opened up people's minds. You've made finance interesting. You made it fun. And for that, on behalf of, you know, thousands and thousands of people who follow you, who love you, I thought before you get talking, I'll do a little monologue and tell you, thank you very much for what you've done in terms of the content you've created and the fact that you've made something like finance exciting, interesting, something that kids want to know more about. I got to give you full props for that, man. It's phenomenal stuff what you've done.
Thank you so much. That is very, very kind of you to say. Very great introduction about me. And I hope I deserve that.
No, you completely deserve that. So you know what? Let's start now, as I do when somebody comes on the show for the first time, with what I call the origin story.
Yeah.
So how did the character Finance with Sharan happen? That's going to be the end of your origin story.
Right.
But let's find out a little bit about Sharan Hegde first. Tell me a little bit about your journey. How, I saw that, by the way, a nice time to plug his book. It's called Zero to Viral. In fact, I was just reading it a little while ago, and the first few pages talk about how he was as a school student and everything. And I would want you guys to read this book, and it's pretty phenomenal. I'll admit that I've not finished reading it yet. I'm going to be reading it, and I will tell you guys what I felt about it on Instagram as well. Many of you probably have already read it, so you know some of the things he's talking about. But I'm hoping that we can talk about things beyond the book as well, you know, because you've already talked about a few things. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about how, where did you grow up? How did this interest for finance happen?
Yeah. So I'll start off with what gave me that interest of finance, right? As ever since I was a kid, the importance of money was very much imprinted in me. And I would have to give full credit to my parents for that, because even though my parents were well off, they were really, really particular as to how my definition of money is. They really made me respect what money is. Like money in most Indian households is like God. So it was the same in my family as well. So every time we used to go out, I had this budget which my parents used to decide for me. I could not buy anything which is more than $100. And I don't think there's any better way of teaching a kid about money, because once, like most parents, maybe they will, you know, buy whatever the kid asks them, especially if their parents are well off. My parents told me that, okay, 100 is the limit. So that instantly made me look at the MRP rates of everything, right?
Yeah.
So when parents tell that it cannot be more than 100, that MRP thing, that label on every product that you see around you,
Correct.
becomes super, super important for you.
Correct.
Like, can I buy this? Can I buy this? Can I buy that? No, right? So that became so important for me growing up as a child.
Right.
And immediately the idea that the entire world revolves around money is imprinted in my head.
Correct.
So naturally, for a kid who is growing up, when at such a young age, when he or she realizes that the whole world revolves around money, I instantly start learning about money. Right. And as a kid, of course, I would not be able to learn about complicated investing strategies. But you look at how wealth is distributed in the world. So you start Googling, right, the richest man in the world. And back then it was Bill Gates.
Correct.
Then you learn about their wealth journey. Then you learn about all the other billionaires that are out there. Right. And slowly I started manifesting that for myself, right? Yeah. How would it be for me if I were a billionaire? Right. Now, connecting that with how do I get there? Now, for me, my entire source of information were my parents. Back then, I used to not use Google that much for my self-learning, right? So when I used to ask parents, how do people become rich? They had a certain advice to give me. That is, you get good marks, get good grades, and then all the doors open up to you.
Right.
Right? Well, that is not the whole story, but that was the seed which was planted in me back then.
Right.
And that was around the 4th grade, I would say. Until then, I was not like a topper or anything. I was just doing my thing. I was just studying for the heck of it because my parents used to beat me up. After the 4th grade, I did not need any other motivation. It was just me studying really, really hard in school, finishing up homework in school, not wasting time during lunch break, playing catching, actually sitting and doing my homework. Because then the only single mission that I had was to be the topper. Because my understanding was topper means more opportunities. More opportunities means better job. More opportunities means better job. Better job means more money. More money means going to the billionaire route, right? So that is how I grew up as a kid, right? Academic excellence was my number one priority, right? I used to actually count the number of days to the exam, preparing, revise 2 to 3 times before the exam even began, read up the chapters which come ahead, even before the teacher has taught it to me.
Wow.
Memorize the textbook end to end, word to word. So I was that sort of a kid, a typical nerd growing up.
From there to, I'm picturizing that Sharan, right? I mean, hardcore study, studious, focused on the studies, wanting to be the topper, to what we see right now on Instagram and on YouTube. It's a massive transformation, right? And so that got you interested, your childhood, your experiences with your father, finding out a little bit more about millionaires and billionaires, got you interested into it. How did you transform from being that academic guy to creating an empire for yourself on the digital platform? When did that shift happen? By the way, when did you graduate? From
2018.
2018.
From my engineering.
From you did your engineering?
I did mechanical engineering at RV College, which is a college in Bangalore.
Okay.
And then I got at 2018.
Yeah.
And then I worked at KPMG for a couple of years as a management consultant.
Right.
And that is where I actually learned more about finance and how businesses work, because I was in a management consulting division. Okay. Surrounded myself with people who were from IIMs.
Right.
And I applied to get into IIMs, wrote the CAT in 2017. Got like 97, 98 percentile, not enough to get into IIMs, being general male engineer category.
Right.
But luckily enough, I could still work with people who graduate from there because I could get my foot in the door to work at a big firm like KPMG. So that was a very defining moment in my life, I would say.
Having done engineering, that's interesting, by the way. You said, when I figured, had you not told me engineering, I would not have thought that was your the subject that you actually studied. So mechanical engineering got you into KPMG, where you surrounded yourself with people who would give you more advice about finance. That still doesn't take us to the point where you decided that, okay, let me start creating content around this. How did that switch happen in your head?
So I'll tell you, firstly, the interest in finance, many people ask me this, how as a mechanical engineer, how did I learn about finance? What was my inclination towards finance? It again goes back to the dream that I had, becoming a billionaire. And as a noob kid who Googles about what are some of the most high-paying career paths, investment banking comes on the top, right? And even Bollywood and Hollywood glorifies it, movies like Wall Street and whatnot.
Correct.
So I saw myself in those very expensive suits in working in New York City. I working with billion-dollar clients, the Harvey Specter suit style. I wanted that life for me, and I thought that would be one of the stepping stones to again climb up the ladder.
Right.
So towards that extent, because I wanted to be an investment banker, that is why I was interested in finance.
Right.
In fact, I first applied to investment banking firms, applied to Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan and all of that, straight up rejected. And then I started Googling, okay, the next step is how to be an investment banker is to get into a good MBA college.
Right.
But to get into a good MBA college, you need to have an experience in investment banking. So it was a chicken and egg problem.
Right.
Investment banking firms were not taking me as a mechanical engineering student. So what is the next alternative? That is where I discovered management consulting.
Got it.
No idea what it is. Nobody knows what it is. Right? Only when you want to get in an MBA is when people understand what management consulting is.
Right.
Simply put, it is working with CXOs and CEOs to solve their business problems.
Got it.
Basically, an organization, a company, the top management, they want an external opinion of how their business is doing. And they want an external opinions, feedback as to what they should do better. Because we as management consultants work with their competition as well. So they want to know what everybody else is doing.
Right.
That is the job.
Right.
The transition to content creation happened by fluke.
Okay.
The fluke is the pandemic. Right?
Okay.
I would have never ever ventured into content creation because, of course, right? I mean, if I want to get into the dream life that I told you, go into New York and wear those fancy suits and all of that, content creation is not going to do that, right? I had to be laser focused on working in management consulting and getting a promotion.
MBA. Correct.
Getting a promotion to get that MBA.
Get that MBA.
Because MBA colleges, they need to look at, what is your
Work
success and all that, your progression in the company.
Right.
Unfortunately, the pandemic changed that. Because I was up for promotion.
Okay.
Right? My list was also there in that, name was there in the list. Manager told me you're getting promoted. And I was at 4 lakhs CTC. So I was not really looking forward to the money increase. I just wanted the title.
Okay.
I was an
You could then apply to...
I was an analyst. I wanted an associate consultant. That was what I was working for 2 years of my life during that time. Long mass of, earlier we were talking about commuting to office. Right? So I was also traveling 1 hour every day in Bangalore traffic.
Crazy.
And I was going in those godforsaken share cabs back then.
Oh my God.
4 people in one cab, 1 hour back and forth.
Pre-pandemic rides. You guys know what we're talking about. I think share cabs no longer exist right now, right? I don't think after the lockdown they've not gotten back to that. But
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have had interesting experiences of sharing cabs with people. But yeah.
And then there was another app which allows you to hitch a ride with other people going to office.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because
You did all of that.
Those were cheaper. Those were 20 rupees. If you walk 1 kilometer to somebody's house, he will take you on a ride because he's anyway going that
direction.
That sort of stuff, right?
Right.
Sharing with 4 or 5 people. So I went through all of that hustle and all of that. And then pandemic comes and the company says no promotions and no increments. Nothing.
Oh man.
Right? Yeah. So now I had to think, okay, this won't look good on my MBA application.
Correct.
The colleges are not going to care that the pandemic happened. Because it's not that all companies restricted promotion. Some companies still give promotions, right? And those are my competition applying to those same colleges.
Correct.
Right? So I had to do something else. So I was thinking, what else can I do in my MBA application? Then I thought, okay, the next best thing is to work for an NGO, which is what most people do. Some social service work, which you can write in an extracurricular.
Correct.
So I got a gig with the United Nations. It was an online work. Because, of course, lockdown. So I did that for 3-4 months. And then I was like, okay, this is not enough. Because then I started talking to MBA consultants. They were like, okay, your extracurricular doesn't look that great, right? You need to beef it up a little bit.
Yeah.
That is when I was willing to do anything. How can I stand out in my application? Right. And because we were all locked up in our rooms, the only thing that we were doing was Netflix and YouTube.
Correct.
Right? And I was more inclined towards YouTube because I felt like, okay, Netflix, I'm not really gaining anything out of it. Let us just learn something on YouTube, right? And I had a very hectic job as well. So I thought, okay, let me learn something on the side. So I had no time to watch TV shows or movies. Here I discovered some great content creators from across the world. One of them being Ali Abdal, who is still my inspiration. I met him last year at Dubai at the NAS Summit. So that was a very special moment for me because when I met him, we had the same number of followers. Wow. Right? So when I discovered him, he had 500,000 followers. When I met him, both of us had 2 million followers. Right. So when I discovered him, he was 25, I was 25.
Okay.
He is a doctor as well and does content creation. Oh, wow. So I'm like, doctor is definitely more stressful and more time consuming than what I'm doing.
Right.
How is he able to do content creation? What is stopping me from doing it? He's the same age as me. And he put out a video saying he made $1 million that year through content creation.
Wow.
I'm like, what is stopping me? Right? Okay, sure, maybe his parents are rich or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's nothing stopping me from creating short form videos, right? There's nothing stopping me from doing that. So that was like the one important motivator for me, right? It clicked then, right? If you want to do something unique, you need to be willing to do things which nobody else is doing.
Right.
So that is where that seed was planted. And then I was like, let me just start. Let me just do something. Like, let me not think about how difficult it's going to be. Let me not talk to any content creators. Let me just do it. Because that is one of the challenges you face, right? Whenever you do something new, if you talk to all the people who have done it before, they will paint a very rainy day situation, right? Will you be able to do this? Will you be able to do this? This is what you will face. That is also what you will face. And people get scared. They're like, okay, not my cup of tea.
Right.
So I'm like, screw all of that. Let me just write the script of what I'm going to speak. So I started off with YouTube actually. I wrote like a 10-minute script. And then I still remember I was in Bangalore at my cousin's place. And then after that trip was done, I go back home to my Bangalore home because lockdown, I left my Bangalore house to save money. So I went back home. I had a, OnePlus 5.
Oh, wow.
Phone, right? And
so you kept it on a tripod or whatever?
My sister had a old mobile stand because she had dabbled with the makeup content creation 2 years back.
Okay.
So I had a broken phone stand, took that, connected the phone. They do not even leave in the table, so I had to put some paper under it.
Okay.
Right? And then I was not really sure about lighting. I shot it in the night, that video. I put a lamp behind me. All my dark circles could be seen in the video. And I was wearing one of my consulting shirts, right? Just to sound like, I'm a finance guy.
Yeah.
And I shot that video and I posted it. And then I had to learn editing before posting, right?
Correct.
I learned editing after shooting the video. That is the key. Because if I had tried to learn editing before shooting the video, I would be like, okay, this is not my cup of tea.
Correct.
Now that I've done the script,
now that the video is done, the scripting is done, I have to learn how to.
I have to learn how to edit. And then I watched Ali Abdal's videos on how to edit. I learned some mobile software for editing and I figured it out. It took me like 5 hours to edit, right? For a 10-minute video. That is when I realized, damn, to make a 10-minute video, you spend 1 hour shooting and 5 hours to edit.
Correct.
And then you would think that the job is done. But no. Then comes the most important part of the goddamn video, which is the thumbnail.
Correct.
Again, you watch a video on that, how to make a thumbnail.
Correct.
Install another app, make that thumbnail.
Right.
And then you realize posting on YouTube is also not that easy. That is also one big task. Figuring out what hashtags support.
Correct. What is the backend that needs to happen so that it reaches the right kind of people.
Exactly. And I kind of, at that point, I was like, okay, I've done 90% of the work, and that part I was like, wing it. Like, screw that. I'm just going to do whatever I know.
Yeah.
I didn't watch a video after that. And I posted it. I got like, 20, 25 views through YouTube's natural algorithm. And then, of course, I shamelessly put on every single WhatsApp group I'm a part of.
Correct.
I sent it to my mother. She put on every single WhatsApp group she's a part of. Same my sister also did.
Yeah.
Sister put on her stories. I put on my Instagram stories. And grand total, we got like 300 subscribers. So good conversion. Out of 500 people and 300 people subscribed.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why they did it. Because nobody expected that from me. Wow. Nobody expected Sharan to be a content creator.
Yeah.
What they knew of me.
Correct.
Remember what we talked about? I was this shy guy who never ever was a part of drama school, acting school, nothing. Just focused on marks. So they're like, okay, let's just find out what is the Sharan doing. Like imagine the nerd from your college. Yeah. Now all of a sudden is a content creator. You'd at least subscribe, right? To see, okay,
correct,
this does not suit him. Let's see what he's gonna do.
Correct.
So I think that was really, really helpful for me. So 300 subscribers came.
Nice.
So that was the birth of my first video.
I love that, man. And so, here's some of the things that not only am I taking away, but this is something that I have seen from some other super successful YouTube content creators who've been guests on the MJ show. Someone like a Shirley Setia, a Shraddha Sharma. They've all talked about having started off with whatever phone they had back then. Now, literally every phone that you get, whether it's a low budget phone or like an iPhone, what is the latest one? 14?
14 Pro.
I'm not an iPhone guy. So whatever, the iPhone 14 Pro, all of them can shoot like cinematic quality videos.
Yeah.
But back then, like, he said he had a OnePlus 5. I remember Shirley talking about recording on a iPhone 3 or an iPhone 4 or whatever. So nobody cared about, how I don't have a DSLR camera or I don't have lights in my house. How do I do it? Just get started. That's the first step of, content creation. If you feel like you got something that you want to share, just get started and figure your way out. You don't have to have a team. Speaking of which, now you have a massive team who works with you, who helps you create your content and everything. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, where you are right now, from where we spoke about right now, where your origin story was recording a video at your home, figuring out everything from editing to everything. Tell me about how the setup is right now. Yeah.
I think currently a lot of things have changed, right? In the last 2.5 years, I'm not just doing content creation anymore. Because I felt like, I'm super paranoid as a person in general, right? I want to have those backup options, plan B, plan C, plan D. Because like we discussed earlier that, our parents wanted us to do engineering to have a safety net.
Correct.
But then once I got deeper into content creation, and I got what I wanted out of content creation also. Remember why I did content creation in the first place, to get into a good MBA college.
Correct.
So my application is looking fantastic now with 250k followers on Instagram and 100k followers on YouTube. Very, very unique profile. So I got into Columbia Business School.
Oh, nice.
It's like one of the biggest finance business schools where Warren Buffett also studied.
Right.
That's a dream college for me. I was not even my target, by the way. It's an Ivy League school.
Wow.
My target was something like a Duke or something, right? So that was like beyond my thing. And I didn't even have the Indian GMAT score for that. Like Indian GMAT score, something should be like 760 for that college.
Wow.
Even then, it's a 50-50 chance.
Right.
I had a 730.
Okay.
Right, which is like good, but not good enough for that.
Right.
So this, of course, helped me. Right. So I was like, basking in that glory. Okay, I'm just doing this content creation, making good money. 6 months later, I'm going to go off to New York and do that dream life I was telling you, right? Investment banking with that suit. Then something happened. The boom happened. The second boom for me. From 200k followers, it just boomed to 1 million followers in like 3 months.
Wow.
Right? And then people who I never thought I could talk to started reaching out to me on Instagram, movie stars, actors, God influencers who were there, they started talking to me. People I never thought I would talk to.
Nice.
And the more I started talking to these people, the more I started to realize that I have something big going on over here.
Right.
And I am meant for much bigger than, doing an MBA in another country, because that's again a safe route, right?
Correct.
I knew what was going to happen step by step in the next 5-6 years.
Correct.
So this time I felt like, okay, let us try to do something which is adventurous, very different. But again, that safety mentality was always there in me because we grew up in a middle-class Indian household, right? We always ask ourselves, what if it doesn't work out?
Correct.
We always thinking of the worst case scenario, always. So it took me 2-3 months to kind of finally say, okay, I'm not going to do my MBA anymore. I had to send that email, telling the college I'm not coming. I'm going to be here. Of course, I then also tried, can I defer it to have that second option? But
another backup plan.
Another backup. They said no. So again, now the pressure was on.
Correct.
No backup, no MBA degree, nothing. Engineering degree is also now gone.
Correct.
I left my consulting job also. Now it's full on content creation. Now that is not a comfortable situation to be in, because as you know, this is a very, very difficult industry, right? The creative industry.
Correct.
If you never know what is your next thing, you're always thinking, what is my next big thing?
Correct.
You never know how long you're going to last for. So that was always eating into my head. So then I thought, what else can I do on the side? So then I thought, I have a very intellectual audience following me.
Right.
Very rich audience living in metro cities.
Correct.
Who are looking to know how to get rich. And I thought I can teach them something, because until now I'm just making money through showing them the new advancements in the fintech industry.
Right.
Like a new startup comes up, if I like it, if I'm using them, I show my audience this particular product.
Correct.
So I was just showing eyeballs to this particular company and getting money from this company.
Correct.
That is what 99% of the content creators do to earn money.
Correct.
So,
brand deals.
Brand deals, right?
Correct.
Simply put. So I'm like, what else can I do? Can I create something of my own? Why am I just being a distributor to other people?
Yeah.
Can I sell something of my own?
Correct.
Right? Which my audience would love and get benefit out of. That's when I thought, okay, let me teach something which I'm good at, which is finance, right? Until then, I was just putting out these 1 minute, 2 minute comic videos. I'm like, let me now do it seriously, because let's be real. These people are watching this 1 minute video, having a laugh. 2 days later, they've forgotten about it.
Correct.
Right? It's just good to know.
Yeah.
Right? But they're not really implementing that stuff.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, let me see how many people are actually serious among my audience.
Yeah.
Let's do an experiment. Let's do a masterclass. Let's see how many people from my audience would come for a 2-hour masterclass.
Right.
Didn't really expect too much out of it. I thought, okay, this is going to be like a side hustle thing. Maybe it'll increase my income by 10-20% or something like that.
Correct.
And I planned for like 2-3 months. And I went ahead with it.
Right.
Then I was super surprised, because the first masterclass itself, 5,000 people turned up. I was expecting 500 people, 5,000 people.
It has an online thing.
It is an online thing. I had bought a Zoom subscription for like 500 people.
Correct.
Then I had to upgrade that by paying some 2 lakh extra.
Wow.
to accommodate those 5,000 people, right?
So you did your first masterclass with 5,000 people
5,000 people, yeah. By the way, the last one, 9,000 people came up.
Wow. That is wild. Like that is legitimately wild. There are brands who will not get that kind of people coming in to watch something that they are doing. So
in fact, Zoom only told me this is probably the biggest masterclass ever conducted.
wow,
in the history.
That's phenomenal.
Like 9,000 people online. And retention is throughout, right? Let's say 9,000 people registered, 8,500 people turned up. That is the number one thing, because they've got 1 week laid back.
Correct.
And 1 week later they're coming. Even if their company has asked them to come for some Zoom session with the top management, people usually don't turn up.
Correct.
8,500 people turned up. And on a Sunday evening, 2 hours listening to me, non-stop, like no drop at all, like 100 people drop off. From 8,500 to 8,400 people till the end.
Wow.
Right? So I did not expect that, to be honest. So then I realized, okay, this can be super big.
Yep.
Right? So from the masterclass, then I thought, okay, from these people who are attending 2 hours with me, are there some people who are ready to go all in? Learn finance for 10 hours. Right? That is where the 1% club started. Right? Where people want to know everything that I have to offer. Not just the learning bit, because I believe that finance learning cannot just be wrapped up in 10 hours and then ho gaya. I think it's a constant learning. For that, you need to surround yourself with the right people.
Correct.
Most people today, they rely on their dad or their one good finance friend to learn about finance.
Correct.
They're not really sure if it's correct or not.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring all the finance nerds of the country in one place. So that's when I created a community app where many-to-many interactions happen. Right now, it is just me talking to millions of people. Now, millions of people talking to each other. So the community aspect started building up. So to answer your question, to do all of these new things that we're doing, right now there are close to 25 people who work with me.
That's amazing.
And so it started off with me and my sister.
Yeah.
And now it's 25 people in 2.5 years.
That's phenomenal, man. That is, and I realize in your attempt to have more backup plans and side hustles, this technically is not in your finance space. This is a completely different thing that you are talking about.
Right.
And this is something that can apply. I mean, you can extrapolate what you're talking in this book to any kind of content creation. I mean, it's not about finance or about, comedy or this or that.
Yeah.
You're giving people a template to follow to be successful in creating content, whether they want to do it professionally or just create content to entertain whatever number of people that they want to do.
Right.
How did this come about? When did you think that this is a good idea, that you should write a book telling people how you got your virality, how, like you said, you had that 3-month period in which you went from 200,000 to 1 million followers.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about the...
I'll tell you why. That's a great question, actually, because most people would naturally assume that if Sharan is writing a book, it'll be about finance. Right?
Exactly.
So I want to surprise the audience. That is one thing. Second thing, as I was thinking, like, if I have to write a book, right? See, when it comes to finance, I'm not really a PhD guy who is actually innovating new financial concepts, right? I'm just learning from people who are much more smarter and intelligent than me, breaking it down into simpler format and distributing it. That is my job. So I felt that imposter syndrome, right? Can a person like that write a book on finance, right? Maybe, maybe not. So then I thought, okay, is there something that only I know, right? Is there something that I am in the top, like in finance, I would say I'm the top 1% when it comes to financial literacy in India. But I felt like if I have to write a book on something, I should be in the top 0.1%.
Wow.
What is that field? As I thought about it, I realized this is the field, personal branding and content creation. I have realized something or I've discovered something or I've created something which not a lot of people know.
Correct.
Right? And that has given me unfair advantages in life, right? I can reach out to anyone I want. I attract very good talent. I can surround myself with super smart people. I can get things done very quickly because of the network that I have. And all of that has been possible because of the personal brand that I have built. And most people think that it's luck, it is fluke. One video goes viral and you'll become big, and it's not our cup of tea. You need to be born with it. It's it's in your blood. You need to be in the Kapoor family and whatnot, right? So I wanted to break that myth. I wanted to kind of decipher it into a science where people can actually see a step-by-step process.
Right.
None of that bullshit about be consistent and be yourself. None of that bullshit, right? Give people proper framework as to what they should do to build their personal brand so that they can get unfair advantages in their life. I mean, everybody who picks this book won't be a superstar, right?
Correct.
But that is not the point. The point of this book is to not help you become a mega influencer.
Right.
Right? Even if you are, let's say, in the 90th percentile of creating content and showing your personal brand,
Correct.
you would have done more than enough to get that unfair advantage in life. So that is what I wanted to teach in my book, so that more people can get even a fraction of what I was able to achieve. They'll be really, really super successful compared to their peers.
That's brilliant, man. That's absolutely fantastic. And he's not asked me to plug it. In fact, I told him before he came here today, hey man, I want to talk about your book. I want to show this book to everybody. So for everybody watching right now, a genuine recommendation rather than a plug on his behalf. Check out this book. It's available on Amazon, I saw. In fact, I remember we met about a month or 2 months ago, and I was just after meeting him, maybe a week after that, I was traveling. I was at the airport. This released just a few months ago, right?
A month back.
Exactly. So
Send me a picture.
I sent you a picture because I was walking in. There was a
and that's a special moment, right? When I was 07, I did not know. My publisher did not tell me that it's in the airport.
Okay.
While I was in Mumbai airport, and when you see your book the first time,
that's an amazing
experience.
So and I had literally just met him, like probably a week before I flew out, and I saw it, and I immediately took a picture and sent it to him and said, congratulations, man. And I want to congratulate him now in person on behalf of all of you and myself, man. Congratulations on the release of this book.
It's a 1 year in the making, by the way.
1 year in the making. Make sure you pick this book up and make it as successful as you made all of his other things, his content on Instagram, on YouTube. So, make this book a bestseller. And you know what?
It's already a bestseller.
No, I'm saying make it an even bigger bestseller than it is. Make it like one of the top books in its space. I also found something very interesting. So I've been a book guy. So, we were talking off camera and we realized there are quite a few parallels in our life. I'm a engineer as well who's now doing non-engineering related stuff. I've been reading all of my life. I have a huge collection of books, a huge collection of comic books. So I always pay attention to, who the publisher is. I picked it up and I was very intrigued to see a brand that I had never read of before.
Yeah.
You want to just give a quick shout out to them because evidently they've been good partners for you. And
so they had actually reached out to me. It's a publishing company called Wiser. Very, very new company. It was just a 2-member team.
Nice.
And they reached out to me on LinkedIn, and they have been very, very crucial in actually conceptualizing the book as well.
Oh wow!
Right, not just in terms of distributing the book. They actually helped me in putting down all the knowledge that I have because I'm writing a book for the first time, right?
Correct.
Anybody who writes a book for the first time has that imposter syndrome that they are not meant to write a book.
Right.
If you've done English literature, then fine.
Right.
But most people don't really think about being an author in their life.
Correct.
So they were really, helpful in kind of helping me conceptualize the book. And also, another reason that I worked with them is because they really understood what the brand finance at Sharan is all about. So loved working with the founders of the company, and I was the third book that they released.
Congratulations to them as well. I think you guys have a kick-ass book on your hand, and I'm looking forward to seeing more things that come out of this publishing house, and I'm hoping to see more things out of you as well, man. Speaking of which, what's next? What do you got planned for your followers? Is there something new that's coming up that you want to tell? I think of this as like the breaking news segment of the show. Is there something interesting that's coming up?
So depending on when this video goes out, so the next step for me in terms of upping my content creation game is to take it to movie level production quality. Right?
Wow. Okay.
Imagine my reels without no more green screens. Right?
Okay.
Actual set, that Mike Dada and all of that stuff. Right?
Correct.
Movie shooting. Yeah. That kind of a setup. So I bought a studio space.
Nice.
Have like a 15-member crew.
Wow.
And like really, really like with actual backup actors, not me always playing the girl.
Multiple, yeah.
I love doing that. Audience also loves it, but sometimes I might want to bring other real actors. Right. So really excited for that because that will actually make me feel like, okay, we've come to the big leagues. And so I've acted in these advertisements I've done with MS Dhoni and all of that.
Correct.
And I loved, the experience and the vibe of that set.
Very cool.
So I thought, why don't I do that for my own videos as well? Give the audience a very, very different experience. So if somebody has this kind of a budget, they would never really create finance videos out of it, right? They will make some TV show out of it.
Correct.
So I felt like I am the only one who could do this, right? Or I have the interest of doing this, have the money to do this. So let me do it.
That's amazing.
So that's the next big thing which is coming up.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and the second big thing that we're doing is, as a part of the 1% club, we're going to have big offline events happening throughout India.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be actually like a club setup, right? So people across, let's say, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, meet every once a month, right? So these are like the cream of the cream in every city, right? People who are rich, people who are determined, focused in life, and want to do something out of it. That's right. So creating a platform where such people can network and interact with each other, right? It doesn't exist right now. The only alternative we have is LinkedIn.
Correct.
Right. So now creating an offline forum for it, and it'll be like very fun, right? There'll be workshops, activities, not just people sitting in a crowd and listening to some old guy talking. Not that, right? People actually having fun activities amongst each other.
Right.
We'll bring stand-up comedians, influencers. There'll be drinks, networking, partying, all of that.
Fantastic.
That's the next thing that we are working on.
That's amazing, man. That's brilliant stuff. Watch out for these new things that are coming your way. I'm going to ask you, when you mentioned right now working with Amazon, and you mentioned that, some really, really interesting people reached out to you because of the work that you've done, the content that you've done. Share one such story. Like, why don't you, because, these are things that happen in the DMs or, in private. Share something which you never thought would happen, that happened with you, which maybe your fans also probably don't really know about.
One was Amrita Rao I'm meeting. That was really, really, really unexpected that they discovered me. And then also the guy from Crime Patrol reached out. So people, you see on TV, they're reaching out. And who else? And also other influencers, right? These are my good friends now, like Abhi and Niu, Raj Shumani.
Nice.
I mean, they were like very established creators.
Right.
When I was at 5,000 followers.
Right.
And when that boom happened for me, these guys reached out to me, and that was really, really special for me.
That's awesome, man.
So, yeah.
That is beautiful stuff. And, again, I want to just wish you all the very best for everything that you're going to be doing. I am going to continue to check out your content. Make sure you're following him already if you're not already doing that, on Instagram, on YouTube. Find out more about these offline things that he's getting into as well. Sounds super exciting. Before we wrap up the episode for today, I wanted to talk to you, the person, not the character, but just for fun's sake, for your audience that follows you, could you tell them to, subscribe to the MJ Show's YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram? I'd love to see it in your style. Like here now we can get into the finance with Sharan character. I'd love to see that.
Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome to this podcast where I'm talking to Mihir Joshi. I thank you for staying till the end of this podcast. We're at the end, right?
Yeah, we're at the end.
We are at the end of this podcast. Thank you for watching this. Talked about so many things about my past, which I haven't spoken about in many other podcasts. So really special. And also we talked a lot about this book as well, which not other many podcasters. I mean, I've not really gone to a podcast with the intention of promoting the book, but Mihir was kind enough to talk about that as well. So thank you once again, and please subscribe to his channel. He's been doing it for ages. I'm a newcomer here, so very, very privileged to be a part of his show. And yeah, hit that subscribe button and smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, I like that. That was awesome stuff, man. But listen to what he just said, guys. You know what? This is a strange statistic we found out. We complete 10 years this year in August. The MJ Show, I used to call it a talk show, and I still call it a talk show, but now the modern parlance or the technical term for it is a video podcast, which is exactly how we referred to it. So I always joke and say that I was doing a podcast before the word podcast became a thing in the Indian content creation space. So yeah, this is one of these OG podcasts. So yeah, we complete 10 years this year in August. Please subscribe, because we've discovered that almost 90% of the people watching our videos have not subscribed to the channel. So please don't be one of those guys who's not subscribed. Do subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Share his incredible story with more people. I mean, you follow him to find out information about finance, and you love the character. Now get to know a little bit behind the character, the person that Sharan is. So share this video with all of your friends who love his work, who love his videos. And you know what? Watch out for more episodes. We've got some excellent guests lined up for this special season, our 10-year season of the MJ show. But for today, that's pretty much all the time we have. This is Sharan. I'm Mihir, and we'll see you soon.
See you guys. Bye bye.